Well, look at what we have here. We have a set of ultimate header Coyote swap header. They are a universal header that they make for most Coyote swaps, and these are a design that usually works on most swaps. Primary tube does not come down to make it super wide. They bring it up top, then tuck it down at the bottom, then meet at the collector. So to keep everything tight. So I was talking to Jim Browning of Ultimate Header, and he's like, hey, I saw that you were gonna, look for some stock 11 to 14 manifolds, exhaust manifolds for our Coyote so that you could fit it for the potential ZR1 Coyote swap project. I said, yep. He goes, hey, we make these. I go, oh, I had no idea. But I didn't want to buy a set to try. So he offered to send me the template that they made over there before it went into production. He goes, Alex, this is what we do. This is the template we make, excuse me. And I can send it down to you. You can test fit it on the Corvette. And if it fits, then you can go ahead and buy yourself a set. And I'll be sending these back so that they can have them ready to go in case they need to revise it or need some parts or just hang it up on a wall somewhere like the Wall of Fame or whatever. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to install these, and I'm going to do my best to install them while the template motor is in the car, as if I was doing exhaust work on the ZR1 with a Coyote motor in it. I want to know, and I want to be able to know that I can take these on and off just like I would on a stock ZR1. It's not easy to take them off on a stock ZR1 based on especially the driver's side. But the getting to the bolts is a lot easier on a ZR1 LS9 motor. But let's just get right to the garage. Let's see if they fit from the bottom. Let's see if they fit the template. They don't hit anything weird. And then, guys, it's 100% a go. Then I can just party with a good 1 7/8" primary header from Ultimate Header with their Coyote swap header. Let's see if it fits. This one looks like the driver's side, so let's start with this guy first. So it's got to fit up in that hole. So try to tuck the harness out of the way. Let me work a little bit here, but it looks like I might have access. The steering shaft might be an asshole, but if it's tight, I don't know. It might hit here. It might be at an odd angle, so we'll see. Okay, that's the first time since I've started this that I've been not disappointed, but okay, definitely not gonna fit. If you look at it closely, this is a better angle. See how the primary is here, and see the last cylinder is here. That's the last cylinder, number 8. This is the last tube, and I'm already hitting the body. So it has to come at a very, very severe angle because the Corvette's almost like a P-shaped primary into the collector. It's a very severe angle. Actually, let me compare it to the Corvette header. Okay, as you can see, the angle is way more severe on the Corvette. If anything, these headers come forward so much, they actually, these all go back, right? They all start going back. These actually go, the last two go actually opposite direction, and then they do this crazy fold. And these don't fit easy. Don't let anyone tell you this is an easy job. It sucked to do, especially with the wiring harness in the way. You got to unplug half of the harnesses. You got to unplug the knock sensor harness. You got to unplug all the O2 harnesses just to get this in there. And it's a major, for me, who's only done it once, pain in the butt. But these are American Racing headers for a Corvette with 2-inch primary. 1 7/8" primary, as you can tell, it's not going to work. It's almost like these two have to go down at a more severe angle, just like this. So I'm sure, like, if Ultimate Header wanted to do it, they could. But the problem is, it's not worth it because there isn't a Coyote swap market for C6 Corvettes yet. We'll see. Let me try the other side, see if it's any better. Okay, so the same issue, the severe down angle that the Corvette chassis has from the exhaust, it has to be very aggressive. So this seems to be more like a mid-length header, and honestly, I'm just gonna try to get a shorty. I'm basically stock manifolds. That's what I'm gonna try to do, is get bone stock manifolds, because I think they might work based on the fact that if they're right up against, see how much room, so you could see everything, right? So if the stock manifolds have a way shorter angle of attack than the this mid-length style header, There's just so much crap on this Corvette. I can't wait to eliminate the oil cooler and all this dumb shit and severely simplify this Corvette. So the fact that this has a very, long, lead in, it's almost like nothing can be longer than the last, the number 4 cylinder. So everything here has to be with a methodology of down, never up, because when you go up, you hit the firewall. This will work well on Broncos and stuff like that, but and maybe some Foxes, but I don't need the mid-length. If anything, I would love a shorty, so heyo. So, and it doesn't have to be equal length, so maybe the extra bends and stuff aren't available. So let me go ahead and take a peek at what a stock manifold looks like, knowing now, and this is great that they sent me this, because now at least I know this is going to be, a big thing. This and the bell housing are going to be the biggest projects of this Corvette by far. I think the starter location is not that terrible. I think many things, forget this, the starter location's up here and I have room to get at it, so I'm not worried about that. But technically what I have to do is basically make a bell housing, like grab a modular bell housing to T56, cut the back, not me, somebody, and whoever welds it, has to make sure that whatever stick out this is duplicated in the new bell housing. So if it's a total length per stick out, which is not much, if at all, they have to determine that. So I would send them this, then buy a $1,000 bell housing, then have them cut it, then have them put the proper C6 bolt pattern on the bell housing. People out there are doing me a big favor, and I appreciate you guys. You're actually calling people and saying, hey, is this a thing? And I've gotten no less than 10 to 20 people in my inbox saying, I'm talking to this guy, this might help. I'm talking to this guy, this might help. So guys, shout out to you, to the community, for helping out on the Coyote Swap ZR1 project. So this is probably a week away before I get word back as to what's going to happen. This was luckily sent to me very fast. Now that I know that none of this can happen, everything has to be down and a very short angle. So down, boom, and the collector can't be, basically you gotta mimic what the Corvette's doing. Yeah, you have to mimic what the Corvette exhaust is doing. This is the passenger side. So yeah, so these two go the opposite way, like a Y, then they come down, and then they go over very severely. So opposite, they're going into each other to have the least amount of room, and then they go straight down. So honestly, if I had a Coyote situation where the shorty was here, right? So that's why I thought my first thought was to get a stock Coyote manifold, exhaust manifold, because it would be just a shorty and the collector would be here, very, very short, and then I can bring the X pipe to it by, a custom exhaust shop. They can just mate it. But I'm gonna go ahead right now and look up what they look like, just to see if visually they're a lot shorter than this, and what kind of angle, now that I know that it has to go in and it can't be long at all. It can't be any longer than that. And basically, if this guy was going this way and then everything was going down, and then you stopped it right about here or so, it'd be more favorable, which to me is like a stock Coyote exhaust manifold. Okay, this is round 3 of trying to figure out, the dimensions of what headers might fit the Coyote Swap ZR1. These are a set of Flowtech Gen 1 shorty header. I was looking for a cheap set of stock exhaust manifolds, but a lot of you were like, I got a set, I'll take 300 for them. And I'm like, yeah, no. So for a lot less than that, I got these headers. Jake had a set lying around from forever, and he said, brother, here you go, gave me a price, and I bought them just to test fit. And I don't mind doing that because I will be Coyote swapping a lot of cars in the future. I suspect this channel will become mostly Coyote swap stuff, because that's, I think, where the future is headed. So let's see if these guys go on. You can see the part number there, and let's see if they fit at all on the C6 chassis. Okay, let's take a look at them. Instructions, there you go. Straightforward. Oh, pretty thick flange. These are only 1 3/4. They're very small. Well, I'm not even gonna say they're very small. They're bigger than stock stuff, and Jake made 1,000 through his stock stuff. So that's probably gonna be the biggest issue right there, is this length. The issue with the C6 is that the headers should be short, but then this angle has to be down. Like it has, like literally the collector has to be here, because I guarantee this will hit. Just by looking at it, I know they'll hit, but let's try them on anyway. And just like I thought, that's the issue. It's just too long, so it has to be insanely like angled down. Like the moment it comes off of the primary, it has to go down. Because ideally, I would love for the, man, this camera. Ideally, I'd love for the collector to be here, right? And then I can mate it up to the stock H or X pipe. Well, stock X pipe, I'm sure. But I think I'm going to sell a lot of the exhaust, and a lot of the stuff is going to be, interesting. A lot of the stuff is probably going to be mating to that, which is the cap back. I think I'm just going to sell the X pipe and the headers if I do that. So I am going to sell, we'll see. I'm not going to give up too much, but yeah, immediately once I saw how long they were, heyo, I knew they weren't going to work. But you know how it is, you can't really open it up and say I don't want those. But yeah, just the fact that the sheer length, heyo, is too much, that's going to be a problem. Ultimate Header sent me some drawings. They think they have something, so I might get something from them this week or next week. So I'm still trying to find something off the shelf that fits, so I don't have to have custom headers made, because that is going to be expensive and time consuming. So crazy idea, but these things, Jake gave me an idea. He goes, take those out, see how they work. And I'm like, I don't think they'll work. But he said they're reversible, but doesn't that mean that this thing will be facing up? You know what I mean? So yeah, we'll see. And just for shits and giggles, passenger side, same thing. Header almost fits, but collector is going to be the issue. If it comes out somewhere around here, life is good. So maybe if I post this video, people will kind of get an idea what I need. But basically the pipes have to come straight down, and the collector has to kind of sort of hug the oil pan. So we'll look at some measurements and see what I can find or what can be made. Well, because I have crazy friends, just for shits and giggles, Jake said, Alex, why don't you try the ZR1 headers on there? And I was like, oh, why? He goes, well, you know, if they mate, I can do an adapter situation. And I'm like, okay. So unfortunately, this is not a good angle. Let me get the light up by the motor. Unfortunately, as you can see, the cylinder head being wider, the LS head is in more. This is wider, so it forces a more severe angle for the faces to mate. And I can get the ports to line up in terms of where they're gonna, I know I can't. See the back port, this is the middle port, that's the back port. You see what I mean? So it can't come forward enough, and it's hitting the, it's gonna eventually hit this guy. I had to disconnect the drive mechanism to, as you can see, it's disconnected right now. The shaft, steering shaft. So it's definitely not gonna fit because the angle's too severe, because the Coyote is too wide. But it was a nice thought by my friend. He said, you know what? Give it a shot, and you know, see what you think, and see if it's something that will fit. But close, but no cigar. But it's closer than the Ultimate Header was, but it's just not gonna line up. Obviously, he was hoping to get away with some kind of adapter situation because they're 2-inch primaries, and the stock primary of the stock cylinder head port is quite smaller on the Coyote. So he thought he could adapt it, but unfortunately, it has to come back at this angle. This angle's too severely, and it won't line up. So gave it a shot though. Well, as you saw, the exhausts that I have on hand, all of them hit right at the frame. So it looks like I'm going to try, believe it or not, a stock LS3 shorty or even a stock LS9 manifold. Because if they sort of kind of line up with the port, I can make an adapter to use a stock LS9 manifold, and then I can't reuse the extension pipe because the angle is more severe. The LS sits like this, pretty flat, and the Coyote cylinder head angle brings it out, so the bottom kicks into the bell housing, so it definitely won't work. But that's what I'm going to look for in the next week or so, just to keep this project moving forward. A lot of people are encouraging me to keep going, and I appreciate that very much. And I need people that are going to support this project to stay with me. I love you, but we need to hurry up and get this stuff going, because I don't want to have a week or two of no progress. Even if it's backwards progress, at least we're vetting the combo to make sure that what fits, what doesn't fit, what off-the-shelf item fits. So I want to thank Power by the Hour, and I want to thank Ultimate Header for providing some parts, and I want to thank some local guys on the LS3 side of things that were looking for some manifolds, or LS side of things, manifolds and headers for me locally. So if I can source a set of stock manifolds or LS9 manifolds or even LS3 manifolds on a C6 chassis, I think we can adapt it somehow if the flanges line up. So be on the lookout for that in the next couple of days. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll talk to you later.